Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, and welcome to the very first episode of the Creative Corner podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about a certain subject with a guest, be it video games, movies, television, toys, comic books, anything having to do with the creative side of media. Today's guest is a fellow YouTuber and animation enthusiast known for reaction videos and commentary on shows like Star vs. the Forces of Evil, My Hero Academia, and more. She has over 7,000 subscribers on YouTube, and the number just keeps on growing with every video she releases. Please welcome the Cartoon Kitty.
Hey guys, it's me, Cartoon Kitty.
So, how has everything been going with you?
It's been pretty good. Thanks for having me on this interview type thing. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to come out here. So,
Yeah, definitely.
I'll start off. The first cartoons that I watched when I was a kid. The thing is, when I was a little kid, I didn't watch much television. Even though I was born in '95, I'm more of a 2000s kid because I don't have that many memories before the year 2000, except for like one distinct one where I was like at a family reunion, and I was walking around. I was like 2 at the time, and I was walking around, and all of a sudden I looked down, and there's all this white stuff, and I'm like, "What's this?" It turns out I was standing in a fire coal pit,
Oh.
and so then then I remember my mom pulling me out. I don't remember crying or bawling at all. I was told later that what happened is that my aunt, who's a nurse, put some like gel on my feet, and took me to the hospital or something like that. So, not much before the year 2000. So I would usually watch VHSs of Disney movies, when VHS was still a thing going on at the time. Like, I remember going to stores and they were, like, still new. Like, you could buy brand new release on VHS. And
those were the days.
And shrink wrap. And whenever I watched television, like actual TV, before cable boxes, we had very few channels starting out. Sometimes I would watch stuff like Sesame Street or Barney or Teletubbies, but that's like baby. But as I got older, PBS came around, and I watched shows like Arthur and Magic School Bus. And then a little bit after that, as I got older, Playhouse Disney. There were a lot of shows that I watched on that, like Roly Poly Oly, PB&J Otter, Stanley, if you remember that, or any of these.
Yeah, those were great shows.
And JoJo's Circus. I thought it was an interesting show, stop motion, where all the citizens were like biologically, it wasn't just their profession, like they were clowns or whatever. They were biologically clowns.
Yeah, I never actually fully watched that show, but I did see like 1 or 2 episodes, and I just remember when I was little, I was like, what is this show?
Yeah, it just follows JoJo and her friends, living at a circus.
Gotcha.
So, what are the cartoons you grew up before you got into, say, grade school?
Oh, jeez. To be honest, I don't think it was until I was at least 7 or 8 that I started watching like actual cartoons on TV. Most of the ones like on, what was it? The Warner Brothers channel. I forgot what it was called.
Kids
WB Kid.
Kids WB.
Kids WB. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I watched.
Most of those shows I wasn't allowed to watch or anything, but I did watch a lot of Disney Channel and Cartoon Network when I was little. Powerpuff Girls, Kim Possible, Lilo and Stitch, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Those things were like what I grew up on, and it was. I still remember all those shows fondly.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched a lot of Disney Channel. So, like I said, we had a limited amount of channels. We had like, I don't know, 20 channels uh, from like when I was little till about 2003. And I went through a whole grade school. Disney Channel was what I watched throughout, 1 through 4th grade. And like shows like Kim Possible, Proud Family, American Dragon, Jake Long, Recess, this Lilo and Stitch TV show. And I also remember a bunch of those sitcoms on the Disney Channel. You remember some of those?
I think I do, but I don't think I actually watched any of them.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that this was my mindset when I was a kid. It was even when a show was bad, like let's say That's So Raven or Hannah Montana or whatever was on, and I didn't really care for it. It was either that or homework. So
Right, right.
so my mindset was like, I don't care if I don't really like it. I'm just gonna do this to avoid doing my math.
There you go. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Um. So I I really did like a lot of these shows on Disney Channel, like Kim Possible. I remember when the movie came out, the Kim Possible, like That's So
Oh
the
yeah.
Drama. That was like a event at when that came out, and I remember I wouldn't use the word giddy, but I was happy, that Kim and Ron kind of became a thing. And I remember hearing that that was supposed to be the series finale, but then they got another season greenlit. So throughout the final season, they dealt with elements of them having a relationship.
Yeah, I thought it was actually
Yeah.
pretty cool how
And
they handled that.
and also American Dragon, I really enjoyed American Dragon. I did think it was really weird when they went from season 1 to season 2. They changed animation styles.
I heard about that.
Yeah, if you like look, it went from this like kind of like Kim Possible Proud Family ish to like this comic booky kind of like polygonal shape looking series, and I wasn't a huge fan. I preferred Jake's when he was in his dragon form. He looked like a medieval dragon from like Europe, but when they
Hmm.
transitioned over to season 2, he became the snake-like Chinese dragon. And I thought that redesign was a little awkward.
Yeah, it's always interesting whenever like whenever TV shows and cartoons like change their style or do something different from season to season. It's just like kind of jarring sometimes.
Yeah, I know how you feel. And also another thing before I move off of Disney Channel, did you know that Kim Possible, Proud Family, American Dragon, Recess, and Lilo and Stitch all canonically share the same universe?
Because of the crossover
Yes,
episodes, right?
yes, yes, because of those. So,
Yes.
so they're all canonically connected.
I
Which
love those crossover episodes.
yeah, there was like this whole week. I mean, I know a lot of people had mixed feelings about the TV show, but I enjoyed the Lilo and Stitch TV show, and I think it's a shame that it hasn't been like released on DVD or Netflix or anything yet.
It hasn't?
No, I haven't found like zip, nada.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah. Oh, also one more thing about Lilo and Stitch. I remember hearing about the anime, the Lilo and Stitch anime.
Oh yeah. I actually watched a little bit of it and it was interesting. Like I didn't get far enough to see if it
Yeah.
held up to the original concept, but it was interesting.
Yeah, they got quite a couple new voice actors instead, and and one episode I watched kind of made me a little sad was the episode where Stitch sees Lilo again, and apparently she's all grown up now. I was like,
Oh no.
no, and she has a daughter now,
Oh,
and
that's heartbreaking.
and then there was this thing where Stitch was coming back to see her, but he came a little early and he left, and when she showed up, he wasn't there, so she was sad that she missed seeing him.
Oh
So
no.
so it was kind of emotional, like friends, not seeing each other, and like they had a special bond, and then all of a sudden, just sadness, kind of.
Yeah, that sounds sad, and I haven't even seen the episode.
Yeah, I'd check it out if I were you.
Yeah, I
So
might do that.
yeah, so moving on to Kids WB, I I watched that besides Disney Channel, but it was only like after school, and I watched shows like Shaolin Showdown,
Yeah.
which I remember. I loved the villain Jack Spicer. Uh, getting the Shengon Wu, and my Transformers, like a lot of people grew up with the original Transformers from the 80s, or
Hmm.
some people like Beast Wars in the 90s. My Transformers was Transformers Cybertron,
I
and
don't think I've even heard of that one.
yeah, it was the robots in that cartoon were done with CG, kind of like Reboot, sort of. Um,
Hmm.
and the humans were hand drawn like anime cartoon characters, sort of. And I had a bunch of those toys, and I liked the gimmick that those toys had, like this thing called a cyber planet key. It's like a little thing you would insert into them, and then it would like
Hmm.
open up like a new weapon for them to use in
Oh,
both vehicle and robot mode. So
very interesting.
yeah, that was an interesting concept. Like the story was that they had to go out and find all these cyber planet keys in order to save the universe from being sucked into a black hole. So like fire a giant laser beam to save the end, from the end of time.
Right.
Yeah, that was the concept. And uh I remember when Johnny Test first showed up on Kids WB. And here's the thing that not too many people notice about Johnny Test. The thing is that Johnny Test's first couple of seasons, which are the seasons I watched as a kid and I liked, were hand drawn animation, and
Hmm.
then when it switched over to Cartoon Network later, then it became Flash, and
Interesting. I didn't know that.
the quality went down. Like there's this one video, I'd probably have to send it to you, where this guy is talking about Flash versus hand drawn, and he's showing like the differences between the early seasons of Johnny Test and the later seasons of Johnny Test. Hand drawn versus Flash. And I know Johnny Test is like a punching bag, practically in the cartoon community. I
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
Yeah, I liked the first couple of seasons. I really do understand the criticisms, especially of the later seasons, because not only did the animation quality change, but some of the voice actors got replaced. A bunch of characters that used to appear in episodes didn't appear anymore. The writing suffered, and they changed the theme song. The theme song sounded like this like 2000s like rock thing, and then turned into like something like a mellow song from Green Day. If that's the right if that's the right terminology.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's one of those shows.
yeah, it's just one of those shows that you watch as a kid, but you almost feel like guilty. Um,
Or for liking it, yeah.
yeah, like I admit it, I kind of liked Coconut Fred. I actually met Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob, at a convention, and I asked him his opinion on Coconut Fred, and he said that it was just a rip off of SpongeBob, but it kind of was, but it did have some unique concepts, like the main character, Coconut Fred, whenever he imagined something that would just pop into existence, and that would be the focus of the episode. But
Interesting.
you do have the issue of having essentially two Patricks, because there's like these two banana twins that are idiots. And yeah, and another thing I watched I watched this all the time as a kid. I watched Yu-Gi-Oh all the time. Collected all the trading cards. It was just a really fun show. It was like the first anime I ever really watched as a kid. Pokemon was on, but I didn't really watch it that much because it didn't really appeal to me. Besides the games, I grew up third. I'm a third gen Pokemon Ruby player.
Yeah, that's my gen too.
Yeah, Torchic, my starter every time. I start with
Trico
him.
for me.
Trico's a cool character. So yeah, do you know anything like the storyline about Yukio?
I watched pretty much the whole first few seasons, the ones with Yugi and Yami, but yeah, I never really got into it.
All right. Yeah, I liked it. Especially liked a lot of the cards. Um, and yeah, the series did get a little sidetracked, especially when it went into the spin-offs. I
Yeah.
I kind of liked GX, but when 5Ds came out, I was like, okay, I'm done. And the rules kept on changing. Like it went from 2,000 life points to 4,000 to 8,000 life points, and all these difficult new types of cards and rules. Like right now, there's like a half magic, half monster card. I'm
Oh
like,
my goodness.
I'm like, how? It's hard for me to understand what the heck the rules are about. All right.
Yeah, it has gotten more complicated. I do admit I've seen like Arc 5 is the most recent Yu-Gi-Oh! I watched, and it's just like confusing in
Yeah.
some ways.
I call it Arc V because that's what it's set in Japan, and
Gotcha.
it's not a Roman numeral, and plus we already had a 5 in the name with 5 Ds,
Ah,
and that was a regular English number 5.
right.
So yeah, all right. So moving on, all throughout 1 through 4th grade, watched Kids WB and Disney Channel. And one day, right as I was getting ready to leave 4th grade and go on to into 5th grade in middle school, come home and it's like, hey, your dad got this is my mom talking. Hey, your dad got a whole bunch of new channels, and as I was like looking through them, I was like, what's this? Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Toon Disney, and
What are these words?
yeah, I had heard about some of these channels before. Like I would always go to like throughout grade school, I would go to Virginia Beach in September for what's called the Neptune Festival, and I remember like channel surfing, like a little kid, and stumbling upon Cartoon Network and watching Ed and Eddie, which to this day is still my favorite Cartoon Network show of all time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm weird. I'm one of those people who it's kind of sad actually. A lot of the classics from Cartoon Network I have not seen. So, like I've seen a couple episodes of Ed and Eddie and a couple of Courage the Cowardly Dog, but I've never actually sat through the entire season of shows like that, which is kind of weird considering it.
The same thing happened with me. I never watched Powerpuff Girls, because I was coming in too late because we didn't have these channels. So shows like Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Samurai Jack.
Oh yeah.
Shows like that, like Cow and Chicken. I'm actually a little glad I missed Cow and Chicken because
Be really glad you missed that.
That was like Cartoon Network's Ren and Stimpy, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Same with I Am Weasel. Yeah, so
I think I actually sure saw that one.
So I watched shows like Kids Next Door, Billy and Mandy, Code Lyoko. Code Lyoko, that was amazing.
That was a great show.
Yeah. I kind of wish that the final season had come to the States, like done what Power Rangers did with Japan, like replace the live action portions with American actors.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because the final season, because in the final season, when they're in the real world, they're not animated. They made them
Right,
live action.
Evolution, right? That's Code Lyoko Evolution, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other shows like Camp Lazlo, and Ben 10. I remember watching Ben 10. I really liked Ben 10. Did not like Alien Force or Ultimate Alien because I felt that it went in a weird direction. Like it became all dark and serious.
Yeah, I agree on that. Actually, I think Ben 10 is one of the shows that, like, it really left an impression on me for some weird reason. Like, whenever I think of shows from Cartoon Network, that's, like, one that really stands out. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why. Maybe it was because it's such a cool concept or something, but
Yeah, I mean, you get a watch from outer space from an asteroid, and then you turn into whatever you want from this set of aliens. And as the series went on, you can unlock more DNA and like become more aliens.
right.
Yeah, I liked Ben 10, and also Ben 10 also shares the same universe as Generator Rex and Secret Saturdays.
Oh, those two shows. I love those shows.
Yeah, Generator Rex, that went away too soon.
It did. Oh my goodness. I was so sad when I found out there were no more seasons.
Same with Symbionic Titan.
That show was canceled too prematurely.
The reason was toy sales. It didn't sell that well in toys. So they were like, pull the plug. Mattel, what you gonna do?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I really loved that show. Mac and Blue going around the giant Foster's house. Kids Next Door. I wanted to be in the Kids Next Door. I mean, I remember when Operation Zero came out, that movie, and it like revealed all of these like secrets. And being a kid at the time, I was just blown away at all of the surprises, like father being number one's uncle, and that number one's dad was like the James Bond of K&D agents, or Jason Bourne, I'd say. So it was just pardon me. It was just a really big event at the time.
Yeah, I think everyone wanted to be in the K&D when they were younger.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing I loved about the show is that every episode was like a movie parody.
I didn't see enough episodes to actually back you up on that or not, but I believe you.
Yeah, like I remember this one episode where it's snow day, and this one character who's like the class president wants everyone at the school for his presentation, but they're all enjoying the snow day. So he goes out with all these school buses, but they're like the AT-AT walkers from Empire Strikes Back. And then it's like turns into the Battle of Hoth, and then number one in the class president do like a lightsaber battle up in the balcony.
That's rich.
Reminiscent of the Luke and Darth Vader scene from Empire Strikes Back. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
just all of these references in every movie. I mean, if you watched episodes, you could see that there's so many references to film.
I like it when TV shows do that, when they like give references to other shows or callbacks to previous episodes. I always thought that was a cool touch.
Yeah. My second favorite Cartoon Network show has to be Billy and Mandy. I know it was a messed up show, but it was just funny. Especially I just loved I sympathized with Billy almost. Because I was like around his age. I wasn't as stupid as he was. But it just felt cool to be a kid and go on all these supernatural adventures with Death himself.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and like I said, my number one Cartoon Network show of all time is Ed, Edd n Eddy. I highly recommend watching them. All of it. Like, every season, and the movie, the 10th anniversary movie, are on iTunes. and I'd highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah,
I just love them.
yeah, I'll probably go watch some more because I've been looking for other things to watch. Besides my reaction videos, so I'll probably go check out some of the old classics.
Yeah. Also, Samurai Jack. I just watched that the classic series recently so that I could watch the season 5 that came out. So moving on from Cartoon Network to Nickelodeon. When I came onto Nickelodeon, shows like Danny Phantom just ended, and shows also like Teenage Robot I didn't get to watch because came after that. Shows I
Mm-hmm.
watched were the good seasons of SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents, as well as Jimmy Neutron and Kappa Mikey, if you remember that.
I don't actually.
Oh, the concept, it blended Japanese and American animation together. The concept was a American kid who's done in an American style wins a contest and goes to Japan to be in a live action, like tokusatsu show. He's like a superhero, and everyone else is done in the anime style. So it's like
That is
so
awesome.
it's Western and Japanese animation clashing together. Like, oh, you're from this country, so this type of animation represents you.
That's actually a very clever idea.
Yeah, it didn't last too long. It lasted like I think 2 seasons. I don't quite remember, but I enjoyed it because it felt like a satire of classic anime.
Hmm.
Like let's say maybe Robot Boy or Speed Racer.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh wait, not Robot Boy. Sorry, Astro Boy. I mean,
Oh yeah, Astro Boy.
yeah, yeah. So those were my shows: SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, and then we go over to Toon Disney, and Jetix. So the thing is, Toon Disney, during the day would run like old Disney afternoon cartoons. I didn't really watch them uh, because I just wasn't a fan necessarily. And I know there's so many like fans of like Ducktales. I just they say, oh, the theme song's so catchy. I can't remember the theme song that well. The Ducktales theme song.
I was a bigger fan of. I don't know if it showed on Jetix, but similar topic. I liked Darkwing Duck a lot better.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Whatever that was on, that was what I would kind of watch. So, but also they showed like other shows like the Tarzan TV series, which I liked. The Buzz Lightyear TV series. Yeah, so that was Toon Disney, mostly reruns of older shows. But then when it went on to Jetix, Jetix is one of my favorite channels of all time. Super Robot, Monkey Team, Hyperforce Go, uh, Get Ed, Yin Yang Yo, Puka, Oban Star Racers. Have you ever heard of Oban Star Racers?
I have not.
It's a French anime.
Oh,
Imagine think think like pod racing from Star Wars Episode 1, and it's all about like racing, like like alien racing, and the winner uh, of the competition becomes what's called the Avatar, which is basically like God.
gotcha.
So if you win the race, you become God. So you have this little girl, like this like 14-year-old girl, and her co-pilot who like operates the turret, and they're like Earth's team, and there's all these other racers from other planets, and so these huge obstacle course racing races, and it was just really good, and I also enjoyed the theme song also. I'd recommend checking it out. Like it's like Code Lyoko. It's a French anime.
Yeah, I was about to say it's same country.
Yeah, not same studio, but same country, kind of same style, sort of. But it's one of those older shows I'd recommend. And Another show I watched religiously, practically on Jetix, was Power Rangers. I came in when Power Rangers Mystic Force was new at the time. I was a big Power Rangers fan as a kid. SPD, Jungle Fury, those seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And one funny thing that I think is really strange that happened on Jetix was that in the evenings sometimes you would get classic Warner Brothers cartoons. You get Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, Pinky and the Brain. Like, what are those doing on Jetix? What are those doing on a Disney owned channel? You know?
That's a good question.
I mean, well, thanks to Jetix, I became a Pinky and the Brain fan, and if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have been introduced to Animaniacs, which is on Netflix right now, and I've been enjoying that a lot.
I could never get into that show.
Oh, I can understand why. Uh, I just really enjoy, some of the slapstick. Slapstick's one of my favorite type of comedy. One of my favorite adult jokes that they have in Animaniacs. Mind if I share it?
That's if you want to.
All right. So they are looking. It's like a detective episode, and they're looking. Yakko, the oldest one, voiced by Rob Paulson, is you know like dressed like Sherlock Holmes and says to the others, "We need to look for I mean, we need to look for prints." And then Dot, the girl, says, "I found Prince," and she's carrying Prince, the singer, in her arms. And then Yakko says to her, "No, no, 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 fingerprints." And then she looks at him awkwardly, and then Prince grins, and she's like, "I don't think so," and tosses him away.
I've heard of that one, yeah.
Uh, it's just, how can you get away with that?
I guess, well, back in the day, I think that, the cartoon restraints were, in a way, like, it's changed over the years.
Yeah.
Some things are more lenient
Yeah.
of now, and some things they weren't back then, but I think back then, things like that could slip through easier.
Well, the thing is that I saw an interview with some of the writers, and they said that sometimes to get dirty jokes through, they would make even more dirtier jokes for the censors to notice, so they wouldn't notice the lesser dirty jokes.
That's one way to go around the system.
But the writers were surprised that that one made it through, because that was supposed to be one of their extremely dirty jokes. They were a little surprised that that one went through. All right, so yeah, Jetix, I really enjoyed that a lot, and another big part of my childhood, growing up through middle school and junior high, was Toonami. Uh, did you watch Toonami back then?
Not very often, no.
Right.
But I did watch it once in a while. I just can't remember which shows that I used to watch on it. It's been a while.
Yeah. I watched original Naruto and One Piece on Toonami back in the 2000s, and I Naruto is one of my favorite shonen anime. Just Naruto. I really dislike Shippuden, and I despise Boruto. I could go on to like a whole rant video or whatever talking about my issues with the evolution of that series. You know, and One Piece I thought was an interesting show at the time, but I didn't understand the story too much, except that they were just pirates going on these adventures trying to get this treasure trove eventually. And I think it would be almost impossible for me to get into One Piece at this point, because they've got like almost 800 episodes.
Yeah, I think the big episode count has deterred me from the big animes as well.
Yeah, that's like it's also the only big three anime left. Like in the 2000s, the big three were Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece. I kind of liked Bleach a little bit. I didn't watch it when I was younger, but I watched a couple episodes when I was like in high school. So essentially, my childhood around that, when I got Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and uh, Jetix. Oh, I forgot to mention the Nickelodeon Avatar: Last Airbender.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing show. I really enjoyed it. It's really good. I consider it an American anime. I know everyone can debate, but if French anime is allowed, or just recently Chinese anime, then why can't American anime be a thing? I sort of consider anime more of a art style as opposed to just limited to a country.
It seems to be what it's becoming, and yeah, that's one of those topics that everyone will fight over in the comments like forever. I don't think that'll ever change, but
Oh,
it
oh,
seems that anime, especially nowadays, is becoming more of an art style
I mean,
type thing.
huge example is like Ruby. Ruby,
Yes.
that's made by Rooster Teeth, and that that
Hmm.
and that's American made, but it is huge in the anime community, and it's just kind of hypocritical almost. How come you praise this but shun Avatar just because it's American, it doesn't count? You are dressing as American anime characters, so it's like shoes on the other foot, I guess. um so that's my childhood, but when I got into high school, I got more into movies, uh like Studio Ghibli. I'm not a huge anime person, but I really love a lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff. My favorite
Same.
Yeah, my favorite being Princess Mononoke.
That's the one I haven't seen. I've seen pretty much all of them, but Princess
Yeah.
Mononoke is still one that I need to watch.
Uh, I consider it his magnum opus, in a way. It is his most violent one. There is some gore, but the thing is, it's like showing the oppositions between the evolution of man and the preservation of nature. Like there is no one true bad guy. It's just both sides fighting for survival, and the main character is caught in the middle between these two sides trying to survive. You know,
I see.
it and I love the characters, and so some people say that, oh, Princess Mononoke should have had a bigger role, because she was the titular character. The thing is that just because she's the titular character doesn't mean she's the main focus. The
Hmm.
same thing applies to like Legend of Zelda. You know, like everyone thinks that just because it's Legend of Zelda that you play as Zelda. You know, you know,
Yeah.
all those memes online, but Zelda is essentially a side character, possible love interest, because that hasn't been officially established by Nintendo themselves,
Right.
even though it's pretty obvious. But you play as Link, and Zelda is your to help her is your quest. So so that's the thing with Princess Mononoke. So I got into movies more. I got into action movies and Studio Ghibli, and just movies in general. So I didn't watch as much cartoons, especially when Jetix / Toon Disney uh, went down. They shut the whole channel down. Nickelodeon was slowly turning out cartoons that were like mediocre compared to some of their older stuff, and Cartoon Network. The last show that I thoroughly enjoyed was Chowder. As soon as Flapjack came out, I don't get me wrong, Flapjack's an alright show. I didn't like it as much, but I thought it was okay. But as soon as Adventure Time came out, my apologies, I'm not an Adventure Time fan, and I couldn't get into it, and so that was like the end of my relationship with Cartoon Network, for like a long time. I just recently tried to get back into Cartoon Network. And that was like in 2010. So like a huge hiatus off of Cartoon Network for me.
Actually, the same thing for me. Most of the stuff I ended up watching during that time was just stuff that had previously aired. That's when I watched most of the series that I know about now. But yeah, you're not alone in the Adventure Time thing. Save for a few episodes, it wasn't my speed.
Yeah. And another thing is Cartoon Network tried to get all experimental at the time. Like this one weird show, Fort uh, Secret Mountain Fort Awesome. That show was nothing but gross out humor. One character was a butt, and he spoke through farts. And then there was this tennis ball covered in acne. I'm just like, are you serious? Oh, who is writing your shows? Did you get some? Did you get some rejected pilots for Adult Swim and just try to turn it into a kid show?
Honestly, I think a lot of the gross out humor and a uh, I guess he's kind of like a episode reviewer, show reviewer, the mysterious Mr. Enter. He mentioned that about the gross out humor and how it just kind of like skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And he
I
mentioned it probably being an account of the Ren and Stimpy thing going on.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just hate gross out humor. I don't mind the occasional fart joke or so, but just things like SpongeBob started to go into gross out humor at this time, like the Splinter episode.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you don't want to remember that.
And all the SpongeBob fans collectively face palmed.
No, not facepalm. Just slam their head on the table.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, I was just appalled. I mean, especially when the confetti came out, and then like a waterfall of pus. I'm sorry. I just cannot. I cannot stand gross out humor. Especially like the gross, ewy gooey stuff. Like I know there was a lot of that kind of stuff in like the Vacation reboot. That's why it bombed at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like jokes about a dad giving his son a rim job. I'm like, seriously, that's supposed to be funny? No. So I became more into movies, and I couldn't watch as much cartoons because I had to face the facts. I'm in high school now. I have to do my homework, or else I'm not going to get my diploma. I would have had to have gotten a certificate, if I kept goofing off. So I had to keep pushing at the time. Went on to movies, but then came back to cartoons, say 2015, like the year after I graduated, class of 2014. And the first cartoon for me to get into after coming back, I hope you don't laugh, and I hope a lot of the people listening don't laugh, is Friendship is Magic.
Woo! Yeah!
Yeah. It's a lot of the writing was good. You had Lauren Faust heading the show for a while. Yeah, that was the show that sort of got me back into cartoons. And I finally got into Disney XD because when Disney XD first became a thing, it was just all of these like reruns of Disney Channel sitcoms. But then they started to show original content, and that's when I got in.
I think that was a huge factor in saving the cartoon community, so to speak.
All right. So, any more history you want to talk about before we go into current events?
Not really. I can't think of anything specific.
Okay. All right. So, current shows going on. Some of the shows that I like are obviously Star versus Force of Evil, which is amazing, and I'm looking forward to season 3.
Yes, here in a month now that we're gonna get the season 4 quote unquote movie.
Yeah, it's like a 2-hour event, I think. It's either
Yes.
it's between 1.5 to 2 hours. I think it's two. And
Probably too with
yeah,
commercials.
and they were teasing, the origin of Toffee and Moon's relationship, which I, just have been wanting to know ever since, the grandma room.
Oh my gosh. That has me so hyped.
Yeah, and yeah, I know there is sort of a theme with the card suits on some people's cheeks, but not every character had, just the card suits. Like in the
Hmm.
grandma room, there was one with a thunderbolt. There was one with a crescent moon, I think. There was one with a bunny rabbit, and also at the
Yep.
family reunion, like either Star's grandma or her great aunt. They didn't specify who, but she had stars on her cheeks. And another thing I'd like to say about that I've noticed in Star versus the Force of Evil on Muni, it appears that the female is the dominant in the relationship usually because it's like Moon sort of has more power over her husband,
Yeah, I noticed that too.
over the king. It's sort of like, you know like a girl power dimension.
Yeah. A role
Nothing against that.
yeah, like a role reversal of the normal thing.
Yeah, as long as they don't push gender politics, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting perspective. So, I've noticed that in that dimension. And another thing is that you have to keep reminding yourself that technically humans are like half human, half insectoid. You know, when they turn into into their dip down modes, and since Star has wings also.
Yeah, the Muberty form.
Yeah, and yeah, Muberty I meant. And yeah, when Moon first did her Muberty, she had 6 arms, and I remember seeing her put them away like wings.
That
Like a
was
ladybug folding her wings.
yeah, that moment just like blew my mind. I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, yeah, I could tell by your reaction video. I
That's right. Yeah, you probably saw it.
Yeah, I like your stuff.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, if you want, you can check out some of my stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So other shows, Gravity Falls. That's kind of current, kind of, because
It's still current enough.
yeah. Um, I got into it right when Weird Mageddon happened, so I came in right when the show was ending, and I was like, no, I just started to know these characters, and then boom, end. And I can see why the creator decided to have it only 2 seasons, because he said he didn't want it. He didn't want it to overstay its welcome, to make it feel too tired. Wish we could have gotten like maybe a couple specials here and there. You know, but it was still a pretty good show. The best analogy I can put for describing that show is X Files for kids.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, other shows that I like. I still watch FIM every once in a while. Um, you know, things haven't been the same since Lauren Faust went. I can understand some of the writers because some of them they're like yes men for Hasbro.
Hmm.
You have to put in all these toys and all these unnecessary side characters so we can sell these toys just once. But um, I still watch FIM. I watched Lilith's Pet Shop a little bit.
That was one of the ones I actually didn't watch. I was planning to, and I never did.
I actually thought it was interesting. Kind of it. It was about this girl who can talk to animals, but she's also dealing with the stress of school and trying to get into the fashion industry. And
Mm.
all of these pets had like unique personalities. Like there's Zoe, the purple dog, who's like a fashionista diva kind of character. Then you have Russell, the hedgehog, who's like persnickety and is like like trying to make sure everything's safe or organized or whatever. It's also kind of funny since that kind of matches Double D from Ed, Edd n Eddy because it's the same voice actor, Sam Vincent.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Believe it or not, quite a few Ed, Edd n Eddy voice actors are in MLP and Little's Pet Shop.
I did not know that.
Yeah, let me see. Mrs. Twombly, the pet owner, um, Trixie in MLP, and Queen Chrysalis are voiced by the actress who was Marie and Kevin in Ed, Edd n Eddy.
Wow.
The blue-haired chick.
Right.
And Soren is voiced by Matt Hill, aka Ed. The guy Wonderbolt.
Right.
Yeah. And
Well, that's pretty neat.
Sam Vincent's also one of the. Darn it! What are those two brothers?
Oh, Flim and Flam.
Yes, he's one of them. I don't remember which. So,
oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I liked Flim and Flam.
Yeah. So, I also watched Loud House. It's actually an interesting concept. Have you seen Loud House?
I want to. I haven't started getting into it, but I'm gonna watch it.
I like it. It's a middle child, who's a guy, and he has 5 older sisters, 5 younger sisters. So it's him dealing with all of these crazy scenarios because he has 10 sisters. And let me see, you've got the oldest one who's always texting and talking to her boyfriend. You've got the blonde, the dumb blonde. You've got the one girl who's into rock music and for some reason likes to use a British accent. Like Rolling Stones kind of accent, sort of. And then you have the jock girl who's like into football. Then you have the emo goth girl who's into poetry, and is like depression, that kind of
yeah. The angsty teenager type.
Yeah, then you've got then you've got these 2 twins that are little. One of them's a tomboy who loves to play in the mud. The other one's all about beauty pageants. And then there's also this other one who's supposed to be 6 years old, mind you. She's supposed to be 6, but she has like an IQ like matching Einstein.
Nice.
And she does all of these weird science things. Also, she has one of those like Sid the Sloth lisps.
Oh my gosh, that's actually a pretty good Sid the Sloth.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. I like it.
Yeah, thank you. So, a lot of these shows going on today, there's slowly like a rejuvenation in creativity because I felt from say 2008 to 2012, 2013 was sort of this like era of mediocrity, if you want to say that.
Yeah, with a couple gems here and there, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. But now I feel as though it's slowly coming back. I talked to this one guy who actually worked in the animation industry, and he says that a lot of independent stuff and hand-drawn and 2D stuff is slowly coming back. I personally want to see 2D animation back in the movie theater.
Oh, please, yes.
Yeah, I wish I could have donated to Don Bluth's Dragon Slayer crowdfunding, but I was a little short on change at the time. But if they are able to make Dragon Slayer, I will go see it opening day.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that 2D animation has kind of disappeared from the theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it. 3D animation's easier. It takes less time. It's easier to transfer files.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like there was a charm about 2D.
Yeah, I mean, you can emote more with 2D.
Yeah.
From what I get. And a lot of my favorite films of all time are hand-drawn animated. My second favorite Disney film of all time is Atlantis: The Lost Empire. And I plan on doing a video talking about that film. Like, I want to do a review of it and talking about, like, the canceled sequels and canceled TV show that they were going to do for Atlantis. And also another one of my favorite films, it's a movie from 1981 I love to death. It's called American Pop, rotoscope animation. Do you know what that is?
I do not.
It's where you record someone with a camera, then you go back and draw over them frame by frame.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, I just would love to see hand drawn films make a comeback. The only 3D animated film currently in my top 10 Disney films, I don't consider Pixar Disney necessarily. I put them in their own category because they're sort of their own company, because that's what they started out as. Disney invested in them until the late 2000s when they bought them. So Disney distributed Pixar until they bought them. So the only 3D animated film currently in my top 10 Disney films is Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, yes. I love that movie
Yeah.
so much.
I know some people are going to say, oh, where's Frozen? Or Zootopia. Frozen, I love to hate that movie. I'm actually looking forward to the sequel to see if it'll crash and burn, actually. Because they're going to bring Hans back. They're going to bring Hans back, make him a good guy, and the rumor is they're going to make him a love interest for Elsa, which is what they should have done in the first place.
Yeah, I think the main big thing about Frozen, that the only thing I really liked, like, it was a decent story and stuff, but I think the reason it got so popular is because of the songs,
Yeah,
because of the
just-
quality
just
and
because
everything
of
like
the
that, and the singing.
Yeah. My favorite iteration of Let It Go is the multi-language one, because
That one's a good one.
yeah, but just the regular one. I mean, I remember I went on to a trip to Disney, and there was like this little girl's birthday party, and they were doing the if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. What they did, the staff member said, if you're happy and you know it, let it go. If you're happy and you know it, let it go. And I was like, no, please. No, please. Enough is enough. They even got rid of one of my favorite Epcot rides, Maelstrom, and replaced that with a Frozen ride. Maelstrom was like a Viking ship ride talking about like Norway, and I know it's like, oh, it's boring, but I thought it was interesting because it like brought you into the Norwegian like culture, sort of. But then they replaced it with Frozen because Frozen is in Norway. Yeah, but also on Zootopia, I liked it, but I don't think it should have won the Oscar last year. I felt the Oscar should have gone to Kubo.
Kubo was amazing.
Yeah,
and I actually can agree with you in some regards on that statement. Like, I see why Zootopia won it, but Kubo should have gotten something like that.
Well, I'm happy that Moana didn't. Moana was okay, but they didn't really do anything new. I usually have unpopular opinions on some stuff, like, believe it or not, I am sorry, I despise Inside Out.
Cue shocked gasps from the audience.
Yeah, I just didn't like it. I'd probably talk to you, why I don't like it, maybe another time, go a little bit more in depth. But I'm getting a little sidetracked. So, the thing with cartoons is that, like this person told me, is that more independent stuff is getting noticed, and like, things like Infinity Train are coming up, and it's like we need this kind of innovation in animation. Personally, one thing I would also like to point out is that most cartoons, especially on Cartoon Network, are rated PG. I just wonder when we'll ever return to possibly the Y7 era, which was all the shows I grew up on. But ever since Adventure Time came out, it's PG.
I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, didn't know if you ever noticed that. So, we just need innovation. So, another thing I like to talk about, what are some shows that are out right now that you don't like or don't care for?
Well, as you know, Adventure Time is one of the ones I'm just not too interested in. The newest seasons have gotten me a little bit more interested in it because it's less just wacky randomness and a little bit more story. I'm a big story person, so random TV shows, I can't really get into them. Once in a while, they're fun to watch, but for the most part, if there's no story or overall arcing thing, then I kind of lose interest.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm pretty sure you'd like Samurai Jack because
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that will definitely be one I like because when I was younger, like all the shows I liked to watch were like superhero related or
Yeah.
someone first seeing the world and doing awesome things.
Yeah.
So yeah, Samurai Jack, I'm pretty sure would become one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, one show I tried to get into. I know you are a fan of it. I know you are a big fan of it. I tried, I couldn't. Steven Universe.
Well, actually, I don't blame you for that. It's kind of like a hit or miss type show.
Okay. Well, my do you mind if I say a couple of my issues with it?
Go ahead.
Well, first off, some people think I don't like it just because of the. Yeah, some people I know personally think I don't like it because of like all the LGBT themes in a lot of the stuff. I'm not anti-gay or anything like that. I just don't like it when it feels forced, and sometimes it does feel forced, and the reason why a lot of those elements are in the show is because the creator herself is bisexual, but um, I just feel as though that's one element that I'm not a huge fan of because it feels that they keep reminding you that these characters are gay or have gay feelings. But that's not that's just a minor nitpick on my end. But the thing is, I don't like some of the characters. Pardon me, but I think Pearl is a.
Interesting.
I just thought that she was she was so consumed, with the episodes I saw. She was so consumed with like jealousy, over Greg, Steven's dad, and because she wanted to get together with Rose, but clearly Rose saw her as more like a friend. And the thing is that didn't Rose try to kill Steven?
I don't think so.
Because I heard, I could be wrong. I had heard that there was an episode where Pearl revealed that she almost killed Steven when he was a baby out of jealousy.
Oh, yes, that was an episode.
Yeah, I was like, you. This is pretty much almost irredeemable of a character trait. That's why I just can't like some of the characters. Also, what's the purple one again?
Amethyst.
Yeah, she's too depressing for me, in my opinion. She just feels mopey a lot, and I know she's dealing with like personal issues, but it's just I don't want too much depression on me, if that makes any sense.
I think so. Right. Yeah, I know there were some other episodes or deeper, darker, sadder episodes.
Yeah, I don't want to feel sad. And the creator, I forget her name.
Rebecca Sugar.
Yeah, I heard in an interview someone asked her, "Why do you make your episodes so sad?" And she was reported saying, "Because crying is funny." I don't know if that's true. I'd have to look that up again, but that's what I heard. So now let's move on to shows we hate that are on right now. On the top of my list has to be Teen Titans Go.
Oh.
It's just they play that show all the time, and
every time.
And the thing is, it's like not giving any airtime to anything else. I mean, I think that it helped get Sonic Boom canceled, and Gumball. I wasn't a huge fan of Gumball at first, but then when like the later seasons came out, I tried to get into it. But Gumball is like non-existent on the channel right now, thanks to Teen Titans Go.
Yeah, and that's regrettable because the World of Gumball is actually a very innovative and interesting show.
Yeah, I actually
funny.
I love the concept of mixing different animation styles together. I want to do something like that. someday.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and other shows that are on. Clarence. I don't like Clarence because I think the main. I think Clarence himself. I don't like him. He's just too naive. And there's not much. The thing is, you like seeing characters in conflict, but he seems like he's in his own little world, naive, unknowing to some of the problems that are going on currently, and so there's not much conflict. And I think some of the side characters are not very interesting. So that's my thing with Clarence. I also hate Sanjay and Craig on Nickelodeon. It's just gross out humor. That's
Yep.
what the whole show is. The only thing that made me chuckle was like a reference to Alien with the snake bursting out of his t-shirt. But the entire show is just farts, poop, barf, anything gooey and snotty that is expelled from the human body.
Mm-hmm.
And the Powerpuff Girls reboot. Um, that
It's so bad.
Yes, especially when they're trying to insert all of these references, like in the recent Fairly Odd Parents, they referenced duck lips, and that hadn't been a thing for a while. But in Powerpuff Girls, they referenced like face memes and twerking.
Oh, please do not remind me about that.
Thank goodness twerking is dying and the dab is slowly leaving. But you know, why are you doing this? Especially with the recent controversy of a writer inserting himself into the show to become a love interest for Blossom.
I just saw that last night. Yeah,
it looks like him. He voices it. He voices the character, and the 4chan, internet, Reddit, whatever, all these places have been like up in a storm of like either rage or laughter over this thing. I know some people do insert themselves into their own projects, but usually as background characters or like one-off characters. But this is like a recurring character, and he's a love interest for one of the main characters. And you just have to ask yourself, like like why would you go that far? I don't think he's a pedophile. I think maybe he's if it's true that he is inserting himself as opposed to just happen to play a character who just happens to look like him. But if he did insert himself purposely, maybe he's living out a childhood fantasy of when he was a kid he had a crush on her. I don't know, but it is just strange.
That's what I took away from it too.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that when I was watching a review of that last night. I was like, that would probably be, if I was a writer or anything like that, and I am a writer, but if I ever did a TV or show or something like that, I probably wouldn't do it in the way that he did it, but I can see, like, inserting yourself to try to, like, put yourself in the show that you used to watch when you were little or something, and wanting to make it look, like, wanting to fulfill, like, a little dream of yours or something like that.
I mean, I'd like to write for FIM, if I ever could. There's a lot of stuff I'd like to write for, but I wouldn't go so far as to insert myself to be a love interest for Fluttershy just because she happens to be my favorite out of the main 6.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't really want to go that far. I wouldn't want to insert myself into Star Wars to become a love interest to Ahsoka.
Yeah, I think it's the love interest part's the part that just kind of like was kind of weird about it.
Yeah, that's the thing that's got everyone freaking out. Especially since they both like each other. Instead of just him having the crush on her, which is probably the only thing I would necessarily accept, possibly, unless you go into stalker territory. But making yourself and her like each other, that is pure fan fiction lines right there. All right, so yeah, and also like I said, Teen Titans Go. That absolutely no spirit of the original show. Um, it just feels like a waste of animation. I also hate their color palette. It gives me a headache. It's nothing but neon colors.
It is a bit bright.
It just gives me a headache. Like, some of these cartoons nowadays try just neon color palettes. Like, you need rich, deep, dark colors for emphasis, but they think, oh, let's just make it psychedelic '60s colors, you know. But that just hurts me.
I think the super simple art style as well kind of emphasizes
Oh
that.
yeah, definitely. I think the show is done in Flash. If it is, it's well executed Flash, but you still can't get the anime inspired. Um, oh, there you go, Teen Titans, another American anime for you.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, yeah. I really did like original Teen Titans. I liked, I did like Robin and Starfire's relationship. I liked Beast Boy and Raven's relationship. I liked some of the villains, like Jinx. Also, I feel as though that the Robin from Teen Titans is Tim Drake, you know, instead of Dick Grayson, because he feels more like a Tim Drake as opposed to a Dick Grayson, if you know what I mean.
Not really, but I'll go with you on it.
Yeah, comic book stuff. A whole nother territory. I am just a plethora of entertainment. That's why I'm doing this series with all these different subjects. So, yeah, Teen Titans Go. It's just it's like their version of modern SpongeBob. It's constantly on, like, and it's burying any creativity that is currently trying to get out there.
Yeah, I heard again from Mysterious Mr. Enter. I heard that they made an episode where it was basically kind of mocking people who were like criticizing the show for not being, you know, like its old self or giving lessons or anything like that.
Yeah, personally, I think that's one of the biggest no nos you should do if you're creating something, and
Oh, definitely.
that's talk down to your audience.
Yeah, you don't want to lose their support, so
Yeah,
why would you do that?
I mean that's one of the biggest problems going on at Marvel Comics right now. Not their movies, but their comic book division. So all their writers are creating content, and they're constantly saying, you're just not understanding, that kind of thing. So
Gotcha.
yeah, so I skipped this for things I don't like. I don't really like Korra. I thought it differed too much from the original source material. It got too dark and serious, and I didn't like that Korra didn't get together with Mako.
Honestly, I think the whole thing with Mako and Korra and Asami and Bolin, I think that whole thing was just it wasn't necessary. It's like they
Yeah,
wanted to go one direction and then they quickly changed their mind and tried to
yeah,
go another, and then it just didn't work out, so they just kind of like fell apart. It felt like it didn't belong in the series, like the whole love triangle thing or whatever you would call it.
yeah.
It
That,
just kind of like broke the momentum that the show had, and
like you said, making decisions that change the direction. That's one of my biggest issues with Shippuden. Naruto Shippuden. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Korra, I especially thought it got really dark. Like with in seasons 3 and 4 were not broadcast on Nickelodeon. You had to go to their website
Right.
because it got violent, like tearing mercury through someone's body. I thought that bloodbending would have been the darkest that they had went, in the original series. That was
Mm-hmm.
like a Halloweenish like episode. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool, but that's like the line of like creepiness and stuff. This was like flat out SS torture, I'd say.
I think that Korra kind of leaned more towards the original like anime roots because anime in general, most of it's like really dark and stuff. Um,
Yeah. All right. So yeah. Oh, great. So let's go back to hate. What's some stuff you hate?
well, I know several of the ones that you mentioned in there. I'm not a big fan of like Sanjay and Craig. Obviously, I can't even bring myself to watch it. Just like from the clips I've seen, I know enough about that show. Um, And yeah, Teen Titans Go is another one, especially because whenever I turn on the TV, that's all that's on.
Yes, it's just
Um,
hours of Teen Titans Go.
just nonstop.
Yeah.
Trying to think what's currently on. Honestly, I can't think of. I know there are some, and I know after I'm done with this video, I'll be like, oh wait, there was a whole bunch of them. But
It's fine. I'll probably mention some in the description if you want.
yeah, I can't remember right now any of the ones that are currently on that I don't like. Pretty much anything that's just like, oh, Uncle Grandpa, that was another one that I didn't like that I hoped I would.
Same here.
But
Here.
just that one just did not go over very well.
Yeah. All right. So now let's move on to the future, hopes and dreams. Like stuff right around the corner and what you want to see. So
Infinity Train season 1, season 2. Give me that right now.
Yeah, same here. It's a really cool concept. I like what he's come up with, and I heard an interview of what he had to do to get that. He had to work at Cartoon Network for a while. He worked on regular show, and then he, got a thing together and was able to put together the pilot. I'm glad that he was able to do that.
Oh, something interesting before we head on, if that's okay.
Yep.
I actually watched The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy the other day for the first time, and I noticed that the character Marvin reminded me a lot of 1-1, specifically his more depressed side.
That was inspiration. I think it was based on that. I think he was going for a positive C-3PO, and the other half being that depressed android voiced by Alan Rickman.
Yeah, I thought that was actually 1-1 was he's a very awesome character.
Yeah, I know a lot of people want to see Edicus come back, but he said he wanted it to be a one-off character, but due to fan demand, he might bring him back. But who knows? Other stuff, like all this independent stuff, like miniseries, all these shorts. Um, Over the Garden Wall, I thought was a really good mini series. I watched it recently. I had a couple problems with it. Like I wasn't a fan of the younger brother that much because I know I've known kids at his age range, and they were like 10 times smarter than him. I just didn't like the fact that it was because of like a lot of his flatline IQ that got them into some of these situations. And I'd have to say my favorite episode is the Mad Love in the Manor, in the mansion with John Cleese. And my second favorite one is with Auntie Whispers, that one.
Yeah.
But voiced by Tim Curry, of all people.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's funny. I watch all these cartoons, yet I know like very little of the voice actors' names, and I never even look up half the time unless I recognize it and I want to know what other show they did. I never usually look up their names.
Yeah. Try IMDb.
Yeah, that's where I found most of them.
Yeah, and also another big thing that is good for animation, I think, is like streaming and Netflix. I do like streaming services. I just hope that eventually we don't go to just streaming services because I do like television. It's you just need something on TV to get me to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But things like I watched this series Legend Quest. I thought it was a really good series. I'd recommend checking it out. It's only 13 episodes. I felt it could have used another season, because I wanted more out of it. But I'd recommend it. And BoJack Horseman, I think, is one of the most interesting, in-depth, thought-provoking shows in recent history. Now,
That's what I've heard.
yeah, for adult animation, I'm not a huge fan. I don't really like Family Guy. I really don't like South Park. I cannot get into Rick and Morty, believe it or not, Rick and Morty actually was an animation short on Newgrounds before it became a TV show. So,
No kidding.
so continuing, you trust me, you do not want to see it. Uh,
That bad, huh?
no. This okay for all those who are sensitive. Plug your ears for a couple seconds. It's a parody of Back to the Future, Doc and Marty, and the thing is, the joke is that they're supposed to be Doc Brown and Marty McFly in the original short. And the thing is that, oh no, the time space continuum is going to implode on itself. In order to save everything, you have to lick my ball sack, and they show that.
Of course.
That but that's Newgrounds for you. You know,
Yeah.
I feel as though some of the people on Newgrounds, like Mr. Weeble and Ego Raptor, should get some shows at some point because those guys are really good. But but let me see. Like I said, adult animation. BoJack Horseman is a in-depth, showing like the dark side of Hollywood. Like what it really is like to be sort of like a celebrity in this world. And I actually think it's interesting that there's a lot people and half human, half animal hybrids, and it's just casual. It's just sort of a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to season 4 of it coming out later this year, hopefully. And it's been a really good show. There's a couple episodes I'm not a fan of. Not a fan of the episode that references like the Bill Cosby rape scandal, and I'm not a fan of the abortion episode, because that's like too dark of a subject to go over. But it's a really, really well put together show that if anyone who has a Netflix account and is like over the age of 17, because they do swear and there's a lot of sex jokes, you should watch that. It's got 3 seasons, great characters, 4th season on the way. If you want something that like makes you think and has an overarching story with it, I'd recommend checking it out. So, as I was saying, streaming and internet is like helping bring back animation, I think.
Oh no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I've done a couple of like reviewing a couple of shorts on my channel, and I want to do more. But just like every time I'm looking around for something, I just see so many like original shorts and stuff, and just like how creative they all are. Like the one I just watched, it's called X Story, and just like the art style and the way that they went about it and everything is just like you wouldn't see it in an actual TV show nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I would love to do this kind of. I wish I could do animated shorts, but the only thing I can animate in is making frames in MS Paint because I can't draw or anything like that.
Yeah, I think animating would be an awesome occupation.
Yeah, it's just the current state of animation. It's mostly independent. Like the bulk of animation that's coming out now is independent or doesn't have too much exposure. But from what I can see is that some companies are starting to notice, and slowly but surely some of these things are getting popular, and I hope that that from this comes more innovation, more originality and creativity, not just in television, but in like movies as well.
Agreed.
Or video games, because some of the 3D animation looks amazing. For like concepts of all these worlds, and like makes me want to play like a game in this world. Like if there's a steampunk like thing, I kind of like steampunk a little bit, but if there's something like that, like all that gears and stuff, I want to kind of go around in that kind of world. And so I could see some animators who know how to do 3D working in games.
Yeah, and you see that a lot actually with the indie games nowadays. It's amazing how big the indie game community has become. It's like it used to be just this tiny little thing,
Yeah,
but
it's
like
huge.
now it's like taking over the majority of like Steam and stuff. And yeah, there's some great ones out there.
Yeah, especially with a lot of independent games becoming huge successes. You've
Right? Yeah.
got Five Nights at Freddy's. You got Undertale.
Bendy and the Ink Machine. Yeah, things like that.
That's recent, and it's
Yep.
becoming a big thing.
It blew up so big.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they're getting funding through Patreon and not a Kickstarter. I think that's an interesting loophole in crowdfunding.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, like I said, the all of these people are taking advantage of the internet, trying to get their stuff noticed, and some people are. It's just not right now, but I believe soon, like within the next 3 to 4, maybe even 5 years, that a lot of these people will be able to make some great stuff and get noticed. And maybe a lot of their stuff won't come out immediately. It might take a while, but I think these people will get noticed at some point and can help bring back some innovation that is desperately needed, I think, in the animation industry right now.
Yeah, and the good thing about the internet is another reason that I think that there's so much originality on the internet in the shorts, that people make, is because there's no real, like, they don't have to get away from censors. They don't have to get past them to get their show out. They can just write what they want, do what they want. They don't have to adhere to any, boundaries or anything. Like, obviously, you want to be careful what you do, but for the most part, they don't need to, like, follow what a company wants them to try to do, and then they just make it.
Yeah, there should be like more power to the artist. Like right now there's like a slow change of hands between generations, I think, in some companies right now. And the newcomers, I think, are noticing some of the smaller people. So I think as more and more of these handoffs happen, sort of, then some of these people can come in. I mean, that's how George Lucas got Star Wars. Like at the time, the newer president at 20th Century Fox had faith in his project, and because of that, we got one of the biggest science fiction franchises of all time. And same thing also happened at Fox with Planet of the Apes. Which is also another really good film series. If you haven't seen the original Planet of the Apes, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's my dad's favorite movie.
Yeah, I personally want to I want to do a comic book that's like a crossover between Star Wars and Planet of the Apes.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I have like a whole plot line written down. So, so as you were saying, more power to the creators. Yeah, I just think that there's so many people who are stuck in the mindset of making money, and and that we need more people in like holding positions in studios to have trust in artists. Like Steven Spielberg, he's all about originality.
Oh yeah, definitely him.
Yeah, All right, so another thing I'd like to quickly talk about, because I gotta wrap up soon, unfortunately, due to time. Reboots and revivals, real quick. Samurai Jack, the recent 5th season, that is the right way to do a reboot slash revival. Continuation. You get a lot of people who worked or influenced, or oversee from people who worked on it originally, and then you try to take it a step further, but take it in the right direction. Like it was darker, but it's the right kind of dark that the series, should embrace. Instead of like from Avatar to Korra, that went way too dark in a bad direction. This reboot for Samurai Jack went dark, but in the right direction.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but because I haven't seen the original Samurai Jack yet. I know, guys. Whoa! You're crazy. But yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people. The Samurai Jack people, the fans, are actually very pleased with this, which is nice to see that not all the reboots are terrible or
Yes, which is
bad.
what should be. And another reboot that has been getting a lot of traction, but isn't official. But the creator really wants to do this. Galactic Kids Next Door. He's been wanting to do this for a while and is trying to get as many fans as possible on board so that Cartoon Network can greenlight it.
Yeah, I actually read about that, and that's actually kind of excited me. Like, again, I didn't see very much of K&D when I was little, but like, for some reason, having it come back would be cool.
Essentially, it would be like a civil war between Earth K&D and the Outer Space Kids Next Door, because the Outer Space guys want to blow up planet Earth because they think it's too infected with adults. Kids, they don't know it's not a disease. It's part of life. But that's a reboot that I want to see happen. And now some stuff that you want to see real quick before I have to cut off. What is stuff you want
like reboots and stuff?
Reboots or new original stuff that you want to see happen soon or within the next few years in cartoons?
Well, I'd definitely like to see the return of like things like Kim Possible, more sort of. I mean, I guess they have superhero things. They got like Pen Zero, Part Time Hero. They got Star vs. the Forces of Evil. But I've always been huge into the superhero category, which is one reason why I love My Hero Academia so much. It kind of reminds me of that childhood of watching people like that and shows like that. But kind of like some more original type superhero things. And there was actually, I don't know if it was canceled or not. I read about it a while back, but there was a show I used to watch called SWAT Cats that I absolutely loved.
Oh yeah,
and the creator, I believe, said that he was going to try to reboot it, and obviously the fandom isn't that huge, so it probably did not go through.
Yeah,
but it would be nice to see some more SWAT Cats because I love that series.
Yeah. Me, I want to see more original concepts and content. And
yeah, that too.
Yeah, big time. I want to see stuff that, what I like is stuff that blends an overarching story, pardon me, with like drama, but comedy and lightheartedness. That's why I love Stars so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and in adaptations or revivals, if I could, I would want to do that Atlantis television series, Atlantis Lost Empire, and I know a bunch of people say they want another season of Ed, Edd n Eddy, which I would love. Uh, that's most likely never going to happen, but one thing that I do want to see from that is I would like to see something like a special in 2019 for Ed, Edd n Eddy's 20th anniversary, like a final, like salute to the series, like a special, like maybe they're a little bit older now or something like that. Oh, and one more thing. Danny Antonucci, the creator of the show, promised that he would show us what was under Double D's hat. Didn't happen. So there's still that needs to be resolved. Of course, yeah. I just hope that the future of animation is bright and that people like you and me who love this stuff can eventually possibly make our own kind of things, try to get into this and show our passion for this.
Yeah, the love of the medium.
Yeah. All right, and before I send off this interview, what are some of your favorite animated movies of all time?
Oh goodness, my number one of all time, and I have this list pretty well set out, but my number one favorite of all time is Coraline, just because I didn't
Yes,
like stop
that's
motion
my favorite
animation
like
before
it
I saw
film.
that movie
I love that
at
film.
all.
It's like Alice in Wonderland Dark.
Basically.
Any others?
Yes, Kung Fu Panda. I love that series to death. I want all the sequels. I don't care how cruddy they become.
Same
Um,
here.
the music is just spot on. It's beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Me personally, I like the second movie the best, Kung
Same.
Fu
Yeah.
Panda 2.
Hashtag po. Hashtag PoX Tigers.
Yes, exactly. Forever.
I want to see white. I want
Um,
to see white tiger cubs.
oh, that would
Doing
be
kung fu.
adorable.
Just like maybe 2 or 3, little kung fu warriors.
Oh, that'd be very cute. And then my last favorite one, I don't, yeah, it's not exactly a Disney movie, but it's still DreamWorks. Was Rise of the Guardians. Now, it may not be very popular, but I actually really enjoyed the rehash, the take that they took in redesigning like Santa and the Easter Bunny and everything like that. They did a good job with those characters.
They could have used a couple more characters, like where's Cupid, or like a couple things like that. But I can understand.
Yeah, I'd assume if they made a sequel, we'd be introduced to more characters like Cupid and things like that.
Oh, and if it weren't for that film, we wouldn't get all the friggin' Elsa and Jack friggin' crossover ships.
That is a pretty popular ship, I do admit.
And some of my favorite animated films, like you said, Kung Fu Panda, my favorite DreamWorks series of all time. I actually would love to work on that series. I have a whole outline written for how I would do Kung Fu Panda 4, and I actually love what I came up with. Not to toot my own horn. And like I said, Atlantis Lost Empire. That's my second favorite. My number one Disney is Winnie the Pooh. The original.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and another good film, like I said, American Pop. Secret of Kells, that's another good one. Irish animation. Came out in 2009. Nominated for an Oscar, but lost to Up. And my favorite anime movie, I mentioned it earlier, Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, mine would probably be Spirited Away because I've seen it so many times now.
Yeah, but I recommend checking out Princess Mononoke sometime. All right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, so that is it for this episode of the Creative Corner podcast. Thank you, Kitty, for joining me. For all of those who are not subscribed or check her or don't watch her, go watch her. She's fun, full of energy, charismatic, and
I shout a lot.
Yes, and you make a bunch of squeak noises.
Yes, I do. If you want to see someone freaking out over every little thing, that is me.
Yep. All right, so thank you again for joining me.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
So be sure to tune in next time for the next episode of the Creative Corner podcast. I am your host, Mick Short, and see y'all next time.